What's going on, gang, and welcome back to Scared of Normal. I'm Mike Murphy, and today I'm joined by Anthony Mikrut, who is the VP of Sales and a partner at Eminent Cycles. And today we're going to get to know the Eminent brand and talk about our collaborative project, Building Grounds, that benefits trail organizations from coast to coast. Dude, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this has been fun. We've been hanging out in the roastery for a little bit, shooting some photos and shooting the shit. And yeah, I'm excited to talk a little bit more about what Eminent is and what your role is there in this collaboration. So
yeah, I'm pretty stoked, man. It's good
Heck
times.
Yeah. So for those that are unaware of the Eminent brand, give us a little backstory on it.
Yeah, so we're a rider-owned mountain bike company with a focus on premium carbon full suspension bikes. We build bikes that have performance-enhancing technology that are also wrapped in a stunning package that provide maximum rider satisfaction and appeal.
Amazing. What a beautiful synopsis right there, man. And I can attest to it just looking at like the beautiful package that's sitting out there in the roastery right now. Like after looking at it for a few minutes and like you were showing me how all the lines line up and everything, I was like, these things look like the Lamborghinis of bikes. Like they're so aggressive. They just got a cool stance to them. So
that's exactly it, man. You can't just have a bike that rides good. Well, it's a very important part of it, but it's got to look good too.
Totally.
Right? It's got to stand apart on the sales floor of the bike shop. It's also, we want our bikes to elicit an emotion when you see it. You know right away when you see one of our bikes if you want it or not. And most of the time it's, I want that bike.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, they definitely command a presence,
Yeah.
which I feel like, you know, in the space of mountain bikes today, a lot of bikes kind of run into the same look at this point in time. So for you guys to build a bike that not only rides great, but also looks incredible, that's a pretty cool feat, man.
Yeah.
So when did Eminent start?
So October of 2015 was the actual born-on date for Eminent. The first 2 years, we were working on R&D for the suspension design, the style of the bike. We did all of that through actual machined aluminum to create the suspension testing platforms. And then 2 years later, we launched our very first bike called Haste, which was our big travel 27.5 enduro rig. Really, really good bike, especially for a first bike from a company. Like people are still dedicated fans to the first Haste. Like there's guys out there still riding them all over the place. After the Haste dropped, we brought out, we needed a trail bike, something on the 2.9 platform. So Onset was born.
Okay.
And then Onset, we developed from a 120, 130 bike and then extended the travel. We were able to redesign it a little bit, give it another travel platform. So it became an Onset LT as well, which made it a 140, 150 bike. And then we're like, man, I think we could push this even a little farther and give it more travel. And we designed a bike with a 155 rear, 160 fork, tested to 170. And we're like, what acronym are we going to give this bike? Because we already have an LT for long travel. We have an ST for short travel. And then came MT, which stands for max travel.
Oh, I love that, dude. Heck
or
yeah.
MOS travel,
There you
maximum
go.
travel.
Anything just a little bigger, right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
awesome, dude. Yeah, I love hearing like the stories of how those names come to be too, and like the progression of the bike in itself. And just looking at it out there, you showing me like the way you can just change the travel so simply is freaking rad.
Yeah, shock and the link change, and you can change your rear travel. Same thing in the new bike Haste. So like when we came out with Haste 2.0, we really wanted a big travel enduro rig, something super stiff, planted, high pivot, rearward axle path, planted, pedals good, rails corners, but still is playful because a lot of the high pivot designs with the big rearward axle path, they're fast down a mountain, but they're kind of dead. Just fast down a straight line, and that's not the way we ride. We build bikes that we want to ride, and we like to have fun. So that's why we build a little bit more playful high pivot bike out of the Haste.
I love that. I feel the same way. Like I like my bikes to be snappy and playful like that. So it's cool to hear that that's kind of the focus for you guys too. So let's talk about Jeff a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Jeff Sonkrant, career engineer, two-wheel junkie, super smart engineer that really, he is eminent, right? He birthed it, designed the suspension, just is very passionate about design and form and function and how everything works together, looks, visual appearances, everything that you see in Eminent was really born from Jeff. Like, he's a super good guy, also a really good rider, right? Like, he's been building bikes that he wants to ride. So
I feel like that's a very special thing, and we talked about that a little bit before this episode, but like how unique it is for, you know, a company, one, to be rider owned at this point in time, especially a mountain bike company, and two, for, you know, the lead engineer to be the guy that's out riding the bikes too. Like that's pretty rare. So
yeah. It gives us a really good ability to design good bikes. And like, we're not answering to shareholders, we're answering to ourselves and our riders. It's very important to us that we take rider feedback from every bike we design. Like, we're new and we're young. We're 7 years old now. So like, every time first Haste, we took all that rider feedback to build the next bike. Onset, we took all the feedback to build the Haste. And then the same thing happened with Drive, like our e-bike that we came out with, the first high pivot e-bike that hit the market in 2021. Drive was really designed to be a fun riding, playful e-bike. It wasn't the all-day big battery water buffalo cruising down the trail. It's gotta
something
be
fun and nimble.
Yeah, it's got to be fun to ride. We wanted the self-shuttle and spend more time on the downhill and still have fun riding the bike.
Yep.
And that's really what happened on that bike. Even like, we know we love it, but then when the Rags got a hold of it and Vital got on it and said it was one of the most capable, fun riding e-bikes they've ever been on, that was huge accolades. And really, that bike is what's driving our sales right now, followed by Haste and then Onset. So it's been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, that's super rad. And it's cool to hear, like, you know, you guys are focusing on the future with the e-bikes and like trying to make something that's, again, a little different and more playful than some of the stuff out there. Because, you know, some of the ones I've ridden, they're cool, but they are like that water buffalo where you're like, dude, I feel like I'm riding, like, that's the best definition I've heard, because you feel like you're riding like a motorcycle or something, you know. It's a lot of weight there. So that's rad, man. Where have you ridden one of those e-bikes at that you've loved the most so far?
Man, all over the country, brother. It's like everywhere I go that I can ride an e-bike, and some places that I'm not supposed to, but
hey, it's all part of the fun, man.
Yeah, like even our rep on the East Coast, man, he lives right up by Killington in Vermont, and he rides the e-bike on the park more than his Haste, which is the same exact suspension design, but because the e-bike has a little bit more weight, he's more planted, and he can rail corners and just charge through stuff. And like, trying to keep up with him out there was like a lot of work. Also, it's his home mountain, so he knows the trails.
Yeah,
he's
got a couple advantages on you. I mean, that is the beauty too, though. Like, talking about railing an e-bike around the corner, like, that is the beauty of an e-bike, because it has that lower center of gravity, so you can just really stick them in there. So,
oh, it's a hoot. Wait till you get on it, man. You're gonna love it.
I can't wait to check them out, dude. So I'd like to like dive into how you got involved with Eminent.
Man, that's so. Way back in the, well, not way back in the day, in around 2019, I've been in the bike industry for a hot minute, actually many hot minutes. And like, previous to Eminent, I was with 𝙎𝘾𝘼 North America as a sales manager covering the Eastern US. And one of our partners that we actually, our importer is Highway 2. And one of the guys over at Highway 2, Brendan Gessick, is one of my good friends that I've known for a while. And he opened a company called DemoWorks in California that was selling Eminent. And when Jeff was looking for a new sales manager at the time, he asked Brendan if he knew anybody, and Brendan gave him my name.
Heck yeah.
And then Jeff and I started talking. And it takes a lot for me to move, right? This was like a 3-month conversation.
Got to make sure the fit's right, man.
I don't make decisions lightly when it comes to like changing my job.
Sure.
Right?
Rightfully so.
And yeah, we talked, and like, I love locks, and 𝙎𝘶 is an amazing company. Christian Bremacher, Daniel Bremacher, super good guys. All the crew in Chicago, man, I love these guys. And like, it was a tough decision to move, but being able to have the opportunity to own a mountain bike company and be able to build it with a really good group of people and have fun, that's kind of like a dream of mine.
Sure.
So it is. Yeah, September 2019, I was standing out at Sturgis doing a bike motor rally with 𝙎𝘶, and decided to make the move. So
Amazing,
yeah.
man. That's super cool. So you got into it right before the craziness happened, it sounds like.
Dude, talk about trial by fire.
Dude, yeah, that was like, what, 6 months before the whole world fell apart?
Yeah.
And especially like the bike industry got wild during that period of time.
Oh, it was nuts because in the beginning, we didn't know if we were still going to be selling bikes.
Sure.
And we were like, dude, what are we going to do? And fast forward a month after March, April, then the boom started, and it was like, how do we keep up
Yeah.
without being able to go anywhere? Like we weren't allowed to travel, see shops, do anything until June. It's been a definite fun learning experience. Like I love challenges. So
Yeah.
2020, 2021's been full of them.
I'm sure, man. And this is something you couldn't have predicted either. You know, like you just said, trial by fire. So you're kind of just jumping into the deep end, like hoping for the best. And it seems like you guys made a really good run at it during that period of time.
We did. We sold everything that wasn't bolted down.
That's awesome.
Being a small guy, you know, that was some of the challenges that we faced. Like the bigger manufacturers have more sway over the manufacturers. And like we were able to get parts, suspension, wheels, tires, all of that, no problem. But there were bottlenecks at the bike manufacturing level because the bigger guys just like demanded that capacity, and us small dudes kind of got put on the back burner.
Yep.
So we got like maybe a couple shipments per year, but we sold every single thing that came in.
That's so cool though, man. It's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, man.
Now with the industry being the way it is, it's kind of the opposite of that, which is crazy. But you know, we'll ride the wave and see what happens next.
Yeah, it'll ride out. It's I mean, we've all got a little bit extra inventory, but that's a good place to be going into the season, right? You have the inventory to last you 6, 7, 8 months, and then you can get back to the 90-day order turns, which we prefer, but you know, we'll get there.
Yeah, heck yeah. So what does an average day look like for you these days now that it's kind of like leveled out a little bit?
And so like Eminent's headquarters in SoCal out of San Marcos, and I live up in Fort Collins. So I work remotely at the Eminent Colorado location.
Heck yeah.
My house. And like either I'm on the road or I'm at home on the phone. We're small, so I also do some of the marketing helps. I do like the newsletters and images and graphics, some basic stuff. We have some other dudes that really do a really good job for our graphic design and web building. But being a small team, we all kind of wear multiple hats. So either at home on the computer, on the phone, or on the road. And I do spend at least half my life driving.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like to dealers or events, or kind of just a little bit about all?
Both, man. Yeah. So like I am the demo driver as well as the sales manager and the vice president. Like, so like I have the demo fleet in my garage up in Fort Collins. I got a little trailer I shoehorn all these bikes into, and I hook it up to the Tacoma and drive around the country going to demo events. Like, so next week, actually, I head down to Spider Mountain in Texas, and we'll do a demo there for the weekend. And then I'll drive around Texas visiting dealers in Austin, Houston, Dallas, and then come back up.
Heck yeah, man. That's super cool. So earlier you were mentioning that there's officially only 3 of you at Eminent. Is that correct?
Yeah, on the Eminent, like payroll direct employees, there's myself, there's Jeff, and then I got a young engineer named Blake Montley, who's a really talented engineering student and graduating this year, but also an ex-pro rider for Intent. So he's got really good feedback, good knowledge, and he's a really valuable asset to have on the crew. And along with him, we have 2 marketing guys that are kind of like contract employees, and then a bunch of independent sales reps around the country that help us support the brand and visit dealers.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Well, for such a small team, I feel like you guys are able to make such a big impact. And that's super cool. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little earlier with like the intentionality of designing the bikes. But I feel like there's a lot of intention that goes into building the company as well. So you can kind of see that through how small the team is and how much of an impact you guys are making.
Oh, dude, we're the biggest little company.
I love that.
Yeah. We try to do as much as we can for our dealers to make them successful. And really, we like to have really good relationships with the riders and the people who are on our bikes. And we love to get that feedback from them. And it's an industry that, you know, it's a lot of fun, but it's also a business. So it's got to be both, right? And you got to have fun doing what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like for a lot of people, that's a hard balance to strike too, right? To say like, we want to have fun over here, but we also have to have a place to make money, or we have to put a focus on that, because like if we don't make money, we can't have fun making cool bikes. So that's a hard kind of thing to do. But I loved how earlier you were mentioning like you guys are really focused on gathering data from people, and you're really looking at that, and you're really refining the bikes to make the best product you can. And I feel like that's something that is kind of overlooked in the industry these days.
Yeah. When you get bigger, I mean, you have your pro riders you work with, and that's great. Not everybody's a racer or a pro rider, and that feedback is definitely valuable. But it's also really incredibly valuable to get feedback from the everyday person that's out on the bike, right? Because that is the majority of the sales. Like, not everybody's racing bikes. A lot of people just want to ride bikes to have fun, which that's the category I'm in right now.
Yep.
My racing days are over. I don't want to be at a start line at 8 a.m. anymore.
It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a very good perspective to have, though, is like the majority of people are out there using it as a recreational tool. They're having fun with it. So being able to like look at those people and say, how can we make the best bike for you? That's a special thing to do.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, it's a good time.
So speaking of, what is your favorite bike out of the lineup that you're riding right now?
And
It's probably a hard one to answer, but
yeah, it's like I love my onset. It pedals like a rocket. I can adjust the travel from either a 120, 130 bike or a 140, 160 bike for park days. Or if I'm riding somewhere that's a lot of pedaling with some chunk, like most of the front range, I'll run a 120 rear, 150 fork. It's a really versatile bike, but I gotta tell you, man, that drive is an absolute hoot to ride. I love like ripping up hills and then being able to just like get more downhill laps in and not be tired. And it's just a good time.
Yeah, it's funny to see how like the whole cycling industry is beginning to shift, because I remember like the first few years of the e-bike being a thing, everybody was so against it. And now everybody, like once you get on one, your opinion completely changes, right? And you're like, oh dude, it's just more fun. Like you get to have more fun, you get to do more miles, and you can keep going, which is cool.
Oh yeah, man. It's like I can bust out a 2-hour lap before work, and I mean, I'm no spring chicken anymore. So usually I would be able to go to work and work the rest of the day without drinking copious amounts of coffee. And now I can go out and tear it up, come back and still do the rest of my work for the rest of the workday.
That's amazing. Are you able to ride from where you live in Fort Collins?
Yeah, we actually just bought a house in May. Yay.
Heck yeah.
It's maybe a half mile from dirt. Like we cross one road and we can get up on the Horsetooth and ride up into Lori. It's pretty amazing.
There's some good riding up there too, man.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I haven't spent enough time up there, but every time I'm up visiting like the Brave New Wheel guys and stuff, I'm always like, dude, I need to come ride with you guys, because like I see the stuff they're posting and I'm like, dude, it's just we're spoiled out here.
Oh yeah,
we really are. Like 15 minutes west from where we sit right now, it's endless trails. So
that's it, man.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiled, dude. So what are some big motivating factors for you guys right now? Like what's pushing you guys to grow?
Just building fun, good-looking product. Like we really just like to build bikes that are fun to ride and like push technology, see what's coming down the pipeline, see if we can include that into our bikes. Like, the e-bike is definitely the future as far as a lot of the sales are going. Like if you look at Europe, they're already there. They're moving faster, but they're massive fans of the big Buffalo e-bike. They want that giant battery on there.
Yep.
And I think the U.S. market is a little different. We do have the people that want the big bikes, but what's going to happen is technology is going to get better and better. You're going to see the solid state batteries coming down the pipeline, which are going to give us lighter batteries with the same amount of power. Better motors are going to come out. And we really look to that technology to help push our bikes. So I don't think there's going to be two categories of e-bike or multiple categories where there's a heavy bike and the light bike. It's just going to be a bike that's maybe 5 to 7 pounds heavier than your normal bike. And
sure.
Have the same power and good fun to ride. And you got Jeff, who's a super smart guy who just really loves to create and design. He's always thinking of ways what he can do next and what we can do next to make the bike better to make it more fun to ride, and just put out front of market technology and product that really just push people. And for a small brand to do that, like I think we're doing a really good job of what we do.
It's super cool to see it. So talking about like kind of being ahead of the curve, are you guys looking at other industries, drawing inspiration from there, like dirt bikes or anything like that? Or are you kind of just like focusing on the bike and just doing what you can there?
Well, that's funny you said that, because Jeff came from automotive.
Okay.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense then.
He cut his teeth in the automotive industry as an engineer with Chrysler, sourcing overseas manufacturing. So that really helps us out when we're sourcing for bike manufacturing too. He knows what to look for at the plants when he goes to visit the plants overseas. And moto, like we're big moto guys too, because like if you look at the floating brake bracket on our onset, you can see some of that from like motocross where they have that on the bikes, right?
Yep.
And if you look at the suspension from AFS, it can kind of get some take from the independent front suspension of like IndyCar, and the way that it really just grabs the ground, because we're all about traction.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it.
Traction under all circumstances, like pedaling, descending, braking. You always got to have traction, because traction makes you fast, and fast is fun.
Yep. Heck yeah, dude. Well, yeah, I love like having that purview to see kind of like where some inspiration is being drawn from, because I feel like that's something that's overlooked a lot in business. People, you know, are kind of like, I just want to like do my own thing. It's like, dude, there's so many people out there doing great things that could influence your business. So.
That's exactly it. Like we even use visual design boards when we're designing the looks of our bikes. We take inspiration from automotive, from different industries, because honestly, if you look at mountain bikes now, most of them are just round tubes with slightly different suspension designs, and each suspension design has its pros and cons, and some are better than others, but all the bikes pretty much look the same with different paint jobs on them, and that's not us.
Yeah. Yeah. I like being kind of out of the box and being unique in the way, like in a visual appearance. Like obviously the bike has to perform well, like we said, but if it looks different, like that commands like somebody to be like, I'm curious now. Right. So what does that process look like when you guys are designing a new bike or updating an existing bike?
So the very first thing that we're focused on is suspension design, that is like the base of the bike, and really what like the looks get you there, but the way the bike rides keeps you there. And that's the most important part of a bike is how it rides, right? So we design a suspension with the characteristics that we want it to have, whether it be rearward axle path, anti-rise, anti-squat numbers, because those are all important. Like you need to be able to pedal well. You don't want brake jack. You want initial rearward axle path so your rear wheel doesn't hang up. And to get all that into non-patent infringed package is pretty difficult sometimes, but we've done a pretty good job on our 2 patented suspension designs. And once we have that suspension package designed, then we build the bike around it as far as looks go, and then we style it, and then come in the graphic packages.
Heck yeah. Going back and forth on like the styling of a bike, is that always like a point of contention, figuring out like what color combinations you want to do and things like that?
Colors are probably the ones that we talk about the most.
Yeah.
It's like we all like different colors, right? And there's only so many colors you can paint job. Like we can't put out 9 bikes, 9 different colors. I wish we could, but like we do usually 2 or 3 bikes and 3 different paint jobs. And we kind of look to see where industry is going. We look at automotive, we look at apparel. We try to make it so like where the apparel companies kind of all have their next season colors coming out, and then we can kind of tailor some of the bikes to look like some of that apparel so it matches, because you got to match, man. You got to look good.
100%.
Right?
Do you have a favorite color combination or color palette that you guys have done so far?
And I'm torn between the blue and gold onset, because that gold matches Fox Kashima coating so darn well, so you can really like bling out a bike.
Heck yeah.
And then our new Haste with the green, the emerald and mint is one of my favorite colors, because I think that bike looks really wicked with some gold accents as well.
Heck yeah.
But then you like, and it's dead on 50-50. If I go to a shop with both Haste, the gray and the red, and the green, and like half the shop's like, I like the green one, half the shop like, I like the gray one. And that's the same as an Eminent.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's good though, right? To have like some colors that are polarizing, but they're loved on both sides, which is super cool.
the gray and the orange on our original onset has been in the line for almost 4 years now, because every time we decide to retire it, we get so much pushback that it just stays.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, it is such like, when I think about you guys as a brand, like I do see that color. It's like an iconic thing for you guys, which is super cool. So yeah. So where do you see Eminent going in the next 5 years? Do you think it's going to be more of the e-bike stuff, or are you going to still kind of do a hybrid of both? Or
it's a mix of both, right? Our game plan, being the small group that we are with our own money, it's not really, we don't have investors dumping money into us. So we have the ability to design and produce a new bike pretty much once a year. And that's kind of where we're going to take small steps. And as we grow and we get bigger and we have more money, then we can do more things. But you really have to manage cash flow to keep yourself in business, to keep selling and making cool stuff.
Which is hard to do, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any aspirations to take on investment or anything like that? Or are you...
Why, you got money?
I wish, man. I'm looking for some myself, let me tell you. No, I'm always just curious, to see, because like I do like the idea of, businesses that are, so to speak, bootstrapped, because I truly believe that makes something a lot more intentionally focused on creating great products. Because you see some brands that have, insane amount of money and they can crank stuff out, and there's not as much soul that goes into it, or not as much intentionality. So a lot of things get overlooked when you have money. So yeah, I guess I'm curious, like, do you guys hope to take that on at some point, or are you kind of just seeing what comes down the pipe?
Yeah, man. There's pros and cons to both. Like, I would love if somebody just gave me $10 million and didn't want
have fun.
Stick their nose into the business.
Yep.
But that's like, you got to balance it, right? Because it'd be amazing to get an influx of cash, like the amount of things you could do with it: marketing, pro riders, new bikes, multiple colors, like all these things that like the bigger brands are able to do. Like, that'd be great. Like, that'd be absolutely great. But the one thing I would not like to see happen is the money come in and we'd have to change our ethos. And that's definitely something that we have to watch, because that's really who we are. Like, and that's what I think drives the brand. And as people ride our bikes and meet us and go out to the events, and our ambassadors are out there, I think they love being part of the family and the team, right? It's a good time, and I don't ever want to see that disappear.
I love that. A big focus on core values and the ethos is, I personally believe, is like the most important part of any brand. It doesn't matter how great your product is, but if you don't have those core values established, like, you're just another business, and we don't need more soulless things out there. So I love that, man.
That's
so
it.
Cool.
Everybody that works with us and sells our bikes, they're mountain bikers.
That's so cool. And that's so important, right? Like, having more people like in the industry that ride bikes and like actually care about like the future of where it's going. So yeah, props to you guys for having your eye on, creating something that's soulful and meaningful and building a community around it. So I think that leads us into the next part of the conversation, is talking about this collaboration that we have going on with you guys. And I think it's really cool to like really focus on community. So where did the idea come from for you guys? Because you're the ones who hit us up 2 years ago and you're like, hey, this would be a super fun thing.
Yeah. So Building Grounds came about when all the events that usually help support the trail organizations raise money weren't able to happen. Like during 2020, 2021, we weren't able to have a lot of bike events. And I was getting a lot of emails from people like, hey, can you donate? Hey, I'm like, well, we don't have money either, man.
Yeah.
But I can come up with an idea or something to help. And that's where Building Grounds came out. It's like, I love coffee. People who ride bikes love coffee. People who ride bikes like more trails.
Yep.
And if we can help get more trails by drinking coffee, then why not, right?
Dude, it's such a cool like synonymous effort too, like to be able to put all of those things. Like, there's a great synergy between coffee and bikes to begin with. And yeah, like when you first hit us up, I was like, dude, this is brilliant. Like, to be able to, give back to the communities that we love and like the resources that we all use as mountain bikers, which are the trails, like to be able to, pour into those people in a meaningful, impactful way is so special.
Yeah, definitely. And like right now at the level we're doing it, like neither of us are making money on it really. It's all going right to the trail orgs. And, like it's not making anybody a ton of money, but it's buying some support for the trail builders, new tools, maybe some like food for the people who are out there digging, like paying the internet bill or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's helping make the dream come true, right?
Yeah,
and
every
like,
little bit helps.
And it's cool to be able to see, especially this year, the first year, what do we have? 4 organizations? Is that we worked with 4 and now we're at 6,
we're at
right?
6, getting bigger.
Dude, it's crazy. And like seeing like basically the footprint of these organizations, like we're coast to coast and it's really cool. And like, I appreciate you for putting that together and like, just like connecting all the dots on that one and seeing how excited these organizations are to like promote it and get excited. And like last year we did, or 2 years ago when we first did it, we did whoever sold the most bags. We bumped it. So we're giving each organization $5 per bag sold. But we bumped it to $7 for whoever sold the most bags. And I think it's only appropriate that we do that again this year.
No, I think so too.
It like made it into a fun little competition for everybody. So
and some of these organizations, they have a lot of members, like NEMBA up in New England, Evergreen in the PNW, San Diego Mountain Bike Association, like Gork Gravity, and Comba, and we added Overland Mountain Bike Association, so we got some local organizations represented, and like we're all coffee drinkers, so like you guys want to win the $7 per bag,
hammer down, man. Sip and rip, dude. We'll send you guys as much coffee as you can buy. We'll keep the roaster going 24/7. I can promise you that. So why are collaborations like this one important to you guys at Eminent?
It's just community, right? We all ride bikes, and where we ride bikes depends on these organizations to keep the trails going, add more trails. Like every time I travel around the country to these different events, to these different trail systems, they just keep getting bigger and better. Like the Port Gamble system up in Evergreen, that is a hidden gem. Like,
really? I've never been up there.
It's amazing. They have some really good trails in this area. Like I had no idea. And like I love being able to get out and really help support these people that are building the trails. Like when I was younger, man, none of this existed. Like what people are growing up riding now is a gift, especially on the bikes they're riding.
Dude, it's crazy.
Like,
yeah.
wow.
Like people are getting treated right now. Like we talk about it a lot. Like, I primarily ride BMX, but like here in Colorado, we have more skate parks than anywhere else, probably in the world, and like same thing. It's like, dude, we don't realize how fortunate we are to have the access to these incredible amenities, which is so freaking cool. And it's all because of, groups like this that advocate for more access. I also think it's cool with the trail organizations. Like they're almost like the way that they can like rejuvenate areas too that have seen like industries leave or whatever. And the first place that comes to mind is like a place like Fruita. Like that town, 15 years ago was nothing, kind of a hole in the wall. You just pass it on I-70. And now like everybody wants to live in Fruita. Fruita is awesome. Same thing as Moab, and it's all because of access to incredible trails.
There's good trails in Fruita.
Dude, so fun.
I really like going to that Fruita Fat Tire Fest
up
at 18 Road. They actually just put in a bunch more trails up at 18 Road too, and it's completely e-bike legal. So
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's cool. I guess that was another question I had is like, are you guys going to start advocating a little bit more for more access for e-bikes on trails now that you guys have your own platform?
Yeah.
Or is that something you guys have been doing?
Yeah, we try to do it to the best extent of our abilities. Like we reach out, we talk to different people. Like we're involved with trail organizations that are really the forefront. People for Bikes is doing a pretty good job with that.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah. Like we do the best we can with what we got, but we definitely, as a group, as an industry, need to really teach people that, e-bikes are not destroying trails. They're not really. It's like when snowboards came to the ski mountain, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's so hard, like, and I'll relate back to the BMX thing in my world. It's like, I always tell people like when there's like the BMX skateboard beef at the skate park, and it's kind of the same thing we're talking about here. It's like, if we could all get along, we get more resources. But when municipalities see people arguing over these places that we go to have fun, they're like, well, why would we build more if you guys can't even get along?
And we're all out there just to have fun, right?
Yeah.
It's about having fun out in the mountains, in the woods, riding bikes, having a good time. Who cares if one guy has some pedal assist and another guy doesn't? Ride what you want to ride.
Yep.
Like I don't have the time to be concerned with what you're doing.
100%. Well, it's sometimes it's hard, I think, for us to just remember that, like you're saying, we're all out there having fun and we're all riding big kid toys. Like, this is a kid's bicycle. We're having fun out here. So let's get back to that thought process and stop being so upset about people having fun in a different way.
Yeah, run what you brung, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you want to ride an e-bike and I'm on my pedal bike, then give me a tow up the hill.
Dude, exactly. Yeah. We'll drink a beer at the top.
Yeah, man. It's like, life's too short to like argue over stuff like this. Like, I just think that, it's the sooner that everybody can get together, there will be more trail access. There'll be more trails. There's no need to have separate e-bike trails from separate mountain bike trails. I do like having bike only trails with no hikers coming up of it, but we live in an area where we do have a lot of shared use trails, and that's exactly what they are, shared use.
Yep.
Right? We have to share the resources that we have because we have a lot of people in a small area all wanting to go outdoors. So it's about getting along, right? I love the bomb down trails, but you got to control your speed and let people hike by.
Yeah.
I say hi, I wave, like.
That is a hard thing though. Sometimes, when you're like, in the endless stoke of just hauling ass and you look up and you're like, oh no, like I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it, like it's a hard thing, but yeah, some bike only trails in the front range would be a cool thing in the future. And it's cool to see that stuff kind of starting to happen.
Oh yeah.
too.
We've got some now. They got some really good ones. And it's great. And then we actually have some directional downhill only trails, which is also a huge add. And it's great to see more of this stuff getting done. And the more that people can get along building it, and then we'll have more access, right?
Totally. Yeah. And big shout out to all the organizations that continue to advocate, maintain, and build new trails because, it's awesome to ride new stuff all the time. And yeah, it's hard to ride all of it too,
My wife, we used to go, when we'd go camping, she used to race pro cross country. Little shout out to my wife. She's badass. And when we go on our vacations were almost always around mountain biking, and we'd go to trail systems like Copper Harbor, and we'd only be there for 3 days, and she would map out a way to ride all the trails. So we had this little thing that was like, I'm like, Becky, you can't ride all the trails. She's like, I want to ride all the trails.
Just ride until your legs fall off kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a good goal to have. I mean, I remember like the first few times that we'd go down to Moab, that was like always our goal. And like by the end of it, you'd have like a 300-mile weekend and you're like sitting in the car driving home, like wanting to cry because you're just like, dude, we rode way too much,
Yep.
But that's the beauty of living in the time that we do. So.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. And now it's like, bring both bikes. Yeah, I want to go crush some pedal bike miles, and then I'm too tired to keep going. I'll hop on the e-bike and do some more.
Dude,
get all the trails.
That's we did an event this last summer, and like there was some dudes on e-bikes out there riding, and there was just these big rides that they were going out on, and they'd come back and eat lunch, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna go out again. And I was like, dude, that's cool, that you're not like just cashed out and like sitting around like, okay, take a nap and hopefully wake up tomorrow and feel better, but
yeah, man.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, for anybody that's looking to grab this coffee, I'll put it in the episode description. Grab yourself a bag. It's super tasty. I guess that's about all we've got to talk about, unless there's anything else you want to cover while we're here.
No, this has been great, man. I really appreciate getting to talk about the collab with Building Grounds and really talking about us because we're small and any marketing effort I can get out is really good. So stop by eminentcycles.com, take a look.
Yeah, please do. I mean, every time like I creep over to your guys' website, I'm just always pleasantly surprised. And like now knowing that it's realistically pretty much just 3 of you guys over there making that happen, like it's that much more impressive to me. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens for you guys over the next couple of years. I'm also excited to get out on one of the bikes because I've been wanting to do that for a little while. So yeah, that's going to happen this spring, man.
Oh yeah, man. I got 1 or 2 demo bikes in my garage.
Heck yeah. Don't twist my arm, man. Not too hard anyways. Well, heck yeah, dude. I appreciate you coming up here. This has been an absolute treat. And yeah, for those of you listening, if you're listening to these episodes on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, please follow the show on the app so you can be notified when new episodes drop every Friday, and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. That helps us immensely when it comes to making more episodes like this. So with that, keep being scared of normal, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, man.